There are moments in life when the world grows strangely dim, when the things that once seemed so urgent begin to lose their grip, and a quiet stirring rises within the soul. It is not a loud call, not a thunderous voice from the heavens, but a gentle pull, a sense that you are being drawn into something deeper, something truer. It is the awareness that you are not wandering aimlessly, but being led. To come closer to God is not to suddenly have all the answers, nor is it to be free from struggle. Rather, it is to find that even in the midst of uncertainty, there is a presence that sustains you. It is to begin seeing life through a new lens, where trials become lessons, where the temporary loses its hold, where peace is no longer dependent on circumstances. But how do you know? How do you recognize when your soul is drawing near to its Creator? There are signs, not always grand or dramatic, but unmistakable nonetheless. They reveal themselves in your thoughts, in your desires, in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. They show that something is shifting, that the distance between you and God is closing, that the one who has been seeking you all along is now being sought by you. And as you recognize these signs, do not be afraid. Do not resist. For to come closer to Him is not to lose yourself, but to finally find who you were meant to be. There comes a time in every life when the things that once felt fulfilling begin to lose their taste. The ambitions that drove you, the pleasures that once excited you, the comforts you sought after, they all seem somehow smaller than before. It is not that they have changed, but that something within you has begun to outgrow them. This is the first sign, a hunger for something deeper, something lasting, something true. Many go through life searching for meaning in things that fade. They chase success, wealth, recognition, only to find that each achievement is like a mist, there for a moment and gone the next. And yet, there is a whisper within that asks, is this all there is? If you have begun asking that question, then take heart, for it is not emptiness you are feeling, it is awakening. The hunger for truth is to recognize that what the world offers is not enough. It is to realize that even the best of earthly joys cannot satisfy the soul made for eternity. Some respond to this hunger by drowning it out, by filling the silence with more distractions, more entertainment, more busyness. But those who are drawing closer to God do something different. They lean into the longing. They begin seeking. They start asking questions that cannot be answered by the fleeting wisdom of the world. And in this seeking, they begin to find. For truth is not hidden from those who truly desire it. The one who placed this hunger within you did not do so to leave you starving. He did it to draw you closer. He knows that only in Him will your deepest questions find answers, your restlessness find peace, and your longing find fulfillment. But this journey is not always easy. It requires a willingness to let go of lesser things. It asks that you no longer settle for temporary pleasures when eternal joy is being offered. And it requires trust. Trust that what God has for you is greater than anything you could grasp on your own. So, if you have felt this hunger stirring in your soul, do not ignore it. It is not a sign of something missing, but of something being found. It is the first step toward a deeper, richer life. One where truth is no longer something distant and abstract, but something known, something lived, something that changes you from the inside out. The question is, will you follow this hunger? Will you let it lead you beyond the surface, beyond the temporary, beyond what is comfortable? For those who do, there is a feast waiting, one that satisfies in a way nothing else ever could. There is a remarkable thing that happens when a soul begins to draw nearer to God. It is not that life suddenly becomes free of hardship, nor that trials no longer come. No, the storms still rage, the winds still howl, and the waves still rise. But in the midst of it all, something has changed. there is a peace, a stillness that was not there before. The world teaches that peace is found in control. If you can manage every outcome, if you can plan perfectly, if you can keep every danger at bay, then you will be at rest. And so, people strive and strive, exhausting themselves in the pursuit of a security that always remains just out of reach. But true peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from knowing that you are held by one who is greater than the storm. When you begin to trust God, the grip of anxiety starts to loosen. It does not mean fear vanishes entirely, but it means that fear no longer has the final say. You start to realize that your circumstances do not dictate your well-being. God does. The things that once kept you up at night still exist, but they no longer have the power to steal your joy. There is a deep knowing that no matter what happens, you are not alone. You are seen, you are guided, you are protected. This peace is not passive. It does not mean sitting idly while life happens to you. No, it is an active trust. A surrender that says, even if I do not understand, I will believe. Even if I cannot see the path ahead, I will walk in faith. This is the peace that allowed a shepherd boy to stand before a giant without fear, that let a man sleep in a den of lions, that carried a people through a sea that had not yet parted. It is the peace that does not depend on favorable circumstances, but on the unchanging faithfulness of God. The world whispers constantly that worth is found in status, in possessions, in the approval of others. It urges people to chase after wealth, recognition, and comfort, as though these are the highest achievements one can attain. But when God begins to work in a heart, these desires shift. The hunger for material gain gives way to a hunger for righteousness. The need for applause fades in the light of a deeper need, to be known and loved by God. This change does not come all at once. At first, it is subtle. You begin to notice that certain pursuits no longer excite you as they once did. The things you once envied in others no longer stir discontentment in you. You start to value time differently, to treasure quiet moments with God more than the noise of the world. You begin to ask different questions. Not how much can I gain, but how much can I give? Not how can I make my name great, but how can I bring glory to His name? And with this shift comes a remarkable freedom. You are no longer a slave to the endless striving that defines so much of the world. You no longer measure your days by how much you have achieved, but by how much you have loved. You begin to see that success is not found in reaching the top, but in walking in obedience. You realize that what truly matters is not what you store up for yourself, but what you pour out for others. This is not to say that ambition is wrong, nor that hard work has no place. On the contrary, when priorities are aligned with God's will, work becomes more meaningful, relationships become deeper, and every moment is filled with purpose. But the difference is this: you are no longer driven by fear, by pride, by the need to prove yourself. Instead, you are moved by love, by faith, by a desire to live in a way that reflects the one who calls you his own. So take a moment to reflect. What fills your thoughts? What drives your actions? What do you long for most? If you find that your desires are shifting, if you sense that your heart is being drawn toward things that have eternal significance, then know this: you are drawing nearer to God, and He is drawing nearer to you. One of the clearest signs that you are drawing closer to God is the quiet, yet undeniable conviction that begins to stir within you. It is not condemnation, not a harsh and unforgiving voice that seeks to crush you under the weight of your failures. No, it is something different, something gentler, yet more powerful. It is the realization that the person you once were is not the person you are meant to be. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Things that never troubled your conscience before suddenly weigh heavy on your heart. The words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, the actions you once excused, they no longer sit well with you. What once felt harmless now feels hollow. What you once indulged in without hesitation now stirs an uneasiness within you. This is not guilt for guilt's sake. It is the work of a loving God, calling you higher, calling you deeper, calling you into the person He created you to be. But conviction is only the beginning. True closeness to God does not merely make you aware of your shortcomings, it transforms you. Little by little, you find yourself letting go of habits, attitudes, and desires that no longer align with the person you are becoming. You start to release bitterness and replace it with forgiveness. You trade selfishness for service, pride for humility, fear for faith. The transformation is often slow, sometimes imperceptible, but it is real. And this change is not accomplished by mere effort. You do not grow closer to God by sheer willpower, by trying to be better, to do better, to prove your worth. No, this is the work of grace. It is the quiet surrender that says, I cannot change myself, but I will allow you to change me. It is the daily choice to submit, to trust, to let God shape you as the potter shapes the clay. There may be moments of struggle. The old self does not go quietly. Temptations return, old habits whisper, and doubts creep in. But there is a difference now. You no longer fight alone. The same God who began this work in you will bring it to completion. Every step away from the past is a step closer to Him, and every step closer to Him is a step into the life you were always meant to live. So ask yourself, what is He asking you to let go of? What old patterns, old thoughts, old burdens are no longer meant to be carried? The closer you come to God, the less you will desire anything that separates you from Him. And in this letting go, you will find something greater, the freedom to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. The final sign of drawing closer to God is a faith that no longer wavers with circumstances. Where once fear dictated your steps, now trust leads the way. You no longer demand to see the whole path before taking a step. You walk forward, knowing He is guiding you. Delays no longer feel like rejections, but refinements. Struggles no longer shake your confidence, but deepen your dependence. This faith is not blind. It is built on the certainty of His presence. And as you walk, you realize what once seemed impossible is now possible because He is with you.